Okay, the 6 turned negative because, and Trinity, you forgot to tell me to start recording. Alright, just for people who I'm just now getting recording off of. I'm going to answer your question in a second, Colin. If I were giving you this formula here that's circled in pink, the way I would graph it is I would factor it to find my zeros. Then I graph the zeros and go from there. Because I can factor it, I can do this. The reason that's a negative 6, Colin, is because to make this, we want this to equal 0, right? Because we want the y to be 0, to know where it crosses the x-axis, okay? So in order to do that, either this part here has to equal 0, or this part here has to equal 0. So what we do is we make them equal 0. X plus 1 equals 0. We move it over, x equals negative 1. X plus 6 equals 0. We move this over, x negative 6. Therefore, we know this parabola crosses at negative 6 and negative 1. Does that make sense at all? Okay.
Yeah.
Because at y equals 0, right? At y equals 0 right here, that's when you cross the x-axis, right? I mean, yeah, that's when it crosses the x-axis there. Later on, like if I wanted to find out, we'll do a question, I'll make up a question later on, where I want to know, like, you'll run into it later, I think tomorrow, where we want to find out, like, let's say this is equation to a football kick, right, or football throw. But we want to find out when the ball is at a height of 15, right? Let's say that the parabola goes like this. We actually put a 15 in there and rearrange it, but that'll be tomorrow's stuff. Okay, so what would you do if I gave you this formula? I asked you to graph this formula. You would tell me to factor it, right? Oh, maybe not that formula. Let me change it. Let's go 9 there. No, not 9 either. Let's go 10. Oops, I clicked on the wrong one. 10. You tell me to factor it, correct? But there's no two numbers that multiply to get this number that add to get this number. Do you guys agree with me? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay. Now you would tell me, and you might be right, that, let's look at decimals here. Hypothetically, yeah. Imaginary things that we just made up? Yep. Oh, this one doesn't have any zeros. Okay. So if you take a look here, the equation I just made up actually has no zeros. It doesn't cross the x-axis, right? So, and we're going to touch in on that in a second. Let's draw this one. Let's do the exact same equation, but I'll cheat a little bit. I'll put a negative in there. Okay, that one does cross the zeros, but we can't also find anything that multiplies to 10 and adds the negative 6. But we know it has zeros, right? They're just really ugly zeros. 7.359 and negative 1.359. Okay? So there is actually a number that actually adds and subtracts in a way. So how do we figure that out? That's what we're going to work on today. Okay? Now let's take this equation, for example, here first. I'm actually going to jump ahead. We're going to jump down here. Because before you do any, if you take a look at the equation and you say, I can't factor that, Now, it may be a case of it's not factorable, or it may be a case of I can't factor it because I just can't figure out what's going on, right? What I want you to do here is something called the discriminant, okay? And the discriminant tells you how many zeros it has. And in case you're wondering how many zeros is, how many times does it cross the x-axis? It may cross 0 times, it may cross 2 times, or let's see if I can make one up that crosses. It may just touch once. So there's our 3 scenarios, right? It may just touch once. I could write this as, I'm going to write this as y equals x squared. Okay, I'll get rid of this. All right, so there's our 3 options. 0 touches, 1 touches, or 2 touches, okay? And a good thing to do is before you do your quadratic formula, because if it never touches, the quadratic formula won't work. If it touches once, you can still use it, right? If it touches twice, you need to use it as well. So the way you use the quadratic formula, not quadratic formula, discriminant, let's use that y equals negative x squared plus 6x plus 10, okay? Now if you remember, does this make sense to everyone? Oops. Does everyone remember seeing this? Yes or no? Alright, Colin does, Tanner does. Good. So this here, the B, A, and C come from this. In this case here, the A equals negative 1, the B equals 6, the C equals 10. Okay? And we just plug these numbers in. So I could write big D for discriminant, B squared plus 4AC. So B is 6 squared plus 4 times A is negative 1 times 10. Okay? Is that right? For some reason I don't think my number is going to work. What is wrong with my formula? It's blue. Plus 6 plus 10. I used the wrong numbers. This is going to give me negative 6, won't it? Oh, negative. That's a negative. Shoot. So it's going to be positive. Alright, that's 36. I was thinking of the answer before. There we go. So that equals 76. Okay? And that's a positive number. And if you look here, if you get a positive number, that means it has 2 zeros. Okay? So we know this has 2 solutions. It's going to cross the x-axis twice. Okay? If we did this with this one, y equals x squared plus 2x plus 1, right? So A equals 1, B equals 2, and C equals 1. So we plug that stuff in. Discriminant equals maybe 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 1, which equals 4 minus 4, which equals 0. So if you look here, I get an answer of 0. And if it's 0, there's 1 0. Okay? Which you can see when we did this here. The purple is the equation we just did. It has 1 0. It only touches right there. Okay? Then the last one would turn out negative. And if it's negative, it has no zeros. So you can't do the quadratic formula, quadratic equation, right? And if you look here, that would be a negative one. It doesn't touch, right? It just turns around right there. So let's go back up here. So here's the big long quadratic equation, okay? It's nothing to get scared about. It looks horrible, looks ugly. It is ugly, but it's actually not that bad, okay? So we only use this when we cannot factor a quadratic, okay? So I'm going to put this over here, just so we have it there. So this here, we can't factor it, okay? Oh, this one's a little different too. If we take a look here, we have 2x squared minus 9x equals negative 5. Do we have to do something to this right away? Or can we just use it how it's written right now? Can someone tell me? Yes or no? Can we find A, B, and C right now? Or do we need to rearrange it? So R for rearrange and a G for go. Does anyone, who agrees with Christopher that we need to bring that negative 5 over? Come on, Matthew, I haven't heard from you in a while. Tanner agrees. Yes. So you need everything on one side. Good. Let's bring that over. So we get 2x squared minus 9x plus 5 equals 0. Now we can work with the formula. Who wants to tell me what my A, B, and C values are for this? Okay? Who can tell me that? Type in what you think the A value is, type in what you think your B value is, and your C value. Not 2x. Not 2x. Remember, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. No. A is just 2, right? We're just taking the number that's out front here. B is 9, or more specifically, negative 9, and C is 5, okay? So we have to take the sign with the number, okay? We take the sign with the number. Do we understand where we get A, B, and C from? Should I write another one out for you to practice? Okay. We got a couple more to practice here, so we have to make sure we get those correct though. Because the most important part is just getting those in there. Okay. I'm actually going to do this. Move that over there. And I'll start right underneath this. Okay. So Tej, you want to practice another one? Let's practice another one. Let's do this. Let's go. Okay. So the quadratic looks like this. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay? So we're looking for the numbers in front of the variables that we're going to grab here. So my question here is A, B, and C. Let's go negative 4x squared plus 6x plus minus 3 equals 0. Can you guys, on your piece of paper in front of you right now, write down what A, B, and C is? Okay? Don't tell me right now, Mark. I want everyone to write down by themselves, or mentally check in themselves. But Mark is right. This is negative 4. Who can tell me what b is? B is 6, good. And what's c? C is negative 3. Good. So negative 4, 6, negative 3. So we got them from here, here. You got to take the sign with it there as well. Okay? And realistically, I'm taking the sign there with it, but we never write down positive. Okay, so let's do another one. I write over here. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Let's go. That's an 8 because I was about to do, let's just do an 8. I was about to do a 4 and then I realized I already did a 4. Okay, don't write anything in the chat now. I want you to just think about it. Okay, make a mental list in your head. Or you can write it in chat, but just don't press enter. How about that? Actually, everybody do that. You have 20 seconds. Everyone write down what A, B, and C is, just like Lawrence did in chat right now. Then when I say go, everyone's going to press enter at the same time. Some people call this waterfall method I just learned the other day. Okay, on the count of 3, everyone's going to press enter. So I should see tons of it. No, on the count of 3, Christopher. 1, 2, 3, enter. Good, good. Good. Fiona, what does that mean? 8, 3, negative 10. Okay, let's try a harder one this time. Okay, here's a harder one. 6x squared plus 2 minus 3x. Okay? Right, type them in the chat, but do not press enter yet. Okay? And we'll do the waterfall method again. I like it. Let's have everyone have their opinion, have their chance to press it. All right. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, press enter. Good job, McCann. Oh, watch out, Christopher. Tanner's got it good. Lucas has it good. Mark, one person had it wrong up there, so you're automatically wrong. Fiona, don't forget your negative in front of the 3. Oh, good. Thank you, Fiona. Good. So this one here, I kind of wrote out an order. So if you rewrite this one in order, like how it usually is, it would be minus 3x here and plus 2. Okay? Which will give you 6, negative 3, and 2. Good. Let's go back down here. Now, this is kind of a two-step question. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to log everything in. Okay? X equals negative. Now, it's negative b, since we have, I'll just write it here. It's going to be negative 9 plus minus the square root of negative 9 squared minus 4 times 2 times 5 all over 2 times 2. Okay, so if I go down the next line here, I'm going to have positive 9, because negative times a negative is a positive, plus minus the square root of 81 minus 40 over 4. I'm going to go one more line, plus my, oops, I don't know, plus minus the square root of 41 divided by 4. Okay. Does everyone understand how I got to this point right now? Is there anyone who needs a clarification of what I just did?
Plug in the calculator.
You only can go this far, okay? Because something happens when you go this far. So you could plug all this into the calculator. I would encourage you to, if you have a calculator that can take all that at once. Plug all that in at once, and you just have to make sure that you put these brackets in properly, in all honesty, right? But if you know how to get to this answer, if you can jump from there to there, I'm perfectly fine with it, okay? But you can't go further, you can't do all this at one step. Something happens here, okay? So before we go forwards, right, I want you to answer this question. Waterfall method again, okay? You can type it in the chat, but don't press enter. What's the square root of 4? I want you to type it in. What's the square root of 4? And we're all going to hit enter at the same time. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. No, square root, Christopher, not square. Okay, so far everyone's half right. Okay, you're back, Tej? Alright. So, you're all half right. Because the square root of 4 is 2 and negative 2. Do you guys agree with me? Because negative 2 times negative 2 equals 4. Right? So in order to finish this question, that's why it says plus minus in front of this 41. Because we have to consider the positive square root of this number and the negative square root of this number to be one of our answers. Okay? So when you get to this point in your question, you actually split the question. Okay? We're going to go one way this way and one way that way. This will be our positive root, and this will be our negative root. So here, we're going to have 9. Oh, I got to look up the square root of 41. Square root of 40, oops. In the wrong mode. Square root of 41 equals 6.4. So this one's going to be 9 plus 6.4 divided by 4. In this case, on this side, it's going to be 9 minus 6.4 divided by 4. So that's going to equal, and you have to do the top first. Do the whole top before you do the bottom. Plus 9. So realistically, the middle step here would be what? 15.4 divided by 4, which equals 3.9. And this one here would be 9 minus 6.4, 0.65. Okay? So there's our two roots. So if we were to draw a graph, what that would be, if we were to draw a graph here, there'd be one spot at 0.65 and one spot at 3.9. Does everyone understand what we did here? Does that make sense to everyone? It's super new, but do we understand what happened?
Yeah.
And why we do it? Now, you could do this with a factorable quadratic, but you just get whole numbers, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Okay? You get a factorable number. You get like whole numbers down here at the bottom, which would be fine. Where's my mouse gone? There it is. I got caught on my 3 screen. Okay. So let's do 2 more here for practice. So find the solutions of the following quadratic. What's the first step we have to do to this one? We have to do what to it? Alright, Tej, you missed the last question, so we're going to do the exact same steps on this question. Okay? So don't be too worried about it. If not, we can chat after. So what's the first thing we have to do? Is that quadratic set up for us to get A, B, and C from? Yes or no? Bring over a value. Good. So we got to collect everything on one side. We could collect everything on the left side or right side. I like to have, I don't know, I'm going to bring these over just because I'm that way. So this is going to become 3x squared plus 7x minus 4 equals 0. So I just pulled these 2 over to the other side. Now I have to find my A, B, and C value. Okay? Can you guys write in chat what you believe the A, B, and C value is for me? A is 3, good, Gillette. B is 7, good. And C is negative 4. Now generally, if you can work with as many positive numbers here, your quadratic makes it easier, just because there's less chance to make a mathematical error, but it doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer, even if you put that 3 over to the other side, you're going to get the same answer. Okay? So now, we would look before as this, could we factor it? Yes or no? Right? Now hypothetically, I told you guys to find the discriminant before, so let's do a quick discriminant here. Discriminant equals b squared minus 4ac. So in this case, we 7 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 4, which would be 49 plus a number, right? That's going to be a positive number. I'm going to add all those together. So you know this is going to be a positive number. And if this is a positive number, you're going to get 2 roots or 2 answers. Okay? Is that 48? Yeah. Is that Christopher? Oh, that was Lawrence calling me out. Right? What's that? 5097? So you know it's positive. Okay. So now let's plug everything into here. So we get x equals negative 7 plus minus the square root of 7 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 4 divided by 2 times 3. That's a horrible bracket there. Now you'll notice the discriminant, I'm going to take a pause here. The discriminant formula here is the exact same formula as here. Okay? That's because you won't get an answer. If you get a negative number here, if you get a negative number, you can't take the square root of a negative number right now. Later on in math, you actually can. Okay? So that's why if you get a negative number here, this formula won't work. Therefore, you don't get any answers. Therefore, you don't get any roots. Right? Just as the case, if you get 0, it takes away the plus minus of it. So now I can't undo So if we do the math of this, we're actually going to get the same as our discriminant number here, which was 97, divided by 6. Now here's a question to everyone. What do I do at this point? What do I do to my answer? Or my calculation? What do I do with it at this point? Do I keep going on one line of answers, or am I going to split my answers up? Split it up. Good. Because then you do the positive and negative. So, I'm going to split this up. My positive and negative versions. Negative 9. What's the square root of 97? 9.8. So it's going to be plus 9.8 divided by 6. On this side, I have negative 7 minus 9.8 divided by 6, which will give me two different answers. 0.47 for this one, and negative 2.8 for this one. So there's my roots for that equation. Where did I get 9.8 from? The square root of 97 is 9.8. Thank you, Fiona. Out of 10, how comfortable are we right now at, if I asked you to use the quadratic formula for something, who thinks they could get a correct answer? Out of 10, give me a rating. 8.4, 7, okay. That was at 6, alright. So feeling somewhat comfortable. I'll go on to the next one. Yeah. Not yet. No, I wrote you on my your attendance on my attendance. I wrote you here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were here before 9:30 when I did my attendance. So here's a big one here. And maybe I'll leave this one to you. I'll help you get it set up, and I'll see if you can do the math of it. The profit on a school drama production is modeled by the equation of this. Okay? This is one of those points where you don't even want to try to factor that. It's such a big number. Like, it's super hard, right? Where P is the profit in dollars, X is tickets number sold. Determine the break-even price for the tickets. So if you think about this logically, before we do the math of it, let's understand what it's asking, right? This is ticket price, and up here would be profit, okay? So the graph is going to look something like this, right? So if I sell my tickets for too small an amount, I'm not going to make any money, right? Let's make, for argument, for $5 a ticket. I could put this show on and sell tons of them for $2 a ticket, but I'm not going to make money. But also, I could try to sell it for $30 a ticket, but no one's going to show, only so many people are going to show up, and I'm going to lose money. So there's going to be a sweet spot here where I gain money and I make the most money in the middle. Okay? So these points here are called the break-even points. Oops. Break-even points right here. That's what it means by break-even. I'm going to turn from losing money into making money. So I can find the root means for vertex. Not in this question right now, Christopher, but we could do that after. Okay, so we're looking for that break-even number. So we're looking for our zeros, okay? We're looking for our zeros here. So let's figure out what my A, B, and C values are. Who can tell me what my A, B, and C values are in chat? Does anyone know what my A, B, and C values are? Negative 60, 97.
Two ways to type it. Yeah.
Or two ways to type it? Fine. So, negative 60, 790, and negative 1000. Perfect. So, this one here is coming from the number in front of there. Here's from here. And here's from here. Okay. So, let's put the equation together. Smaller here. And just so you're aware with Merrick, I am going to make only Merrick memorize this formula. I'll give to everyone else on every other test, okay? Mark. Does the class agree with me that everyone else should get it except for Mark? Yes, Ben says yes. Tanner agrees. Cam says yes. All right, I agree with you guys. So, fine. Here we go. I'll let you guys set up on your own piece of paper right now for me. Okay? I'm not going to write it down right away. I want you guys to write on your piece of paper the numbers that are going to plug into this formula. Okay? When you're done writing it on your piece of paper, please write it like a done in chat or something along those lines. So that way when I know a certain many people are done, I can do it on my screen. Because I want you on your piece of paper to put the numbers into the quadratic formula. That way you can kind of double, instead of seeing me all the time, you can kind of double check and say, oh, I did it right or I did it wrong. Something along those lines.
I was too busy reading chat.
There's nothing in chat right now. Or is that your math chat on Snapchat? You're reading.
No, I was reading Chris's test.
What Chris's test?
No test. No test, but it's mine.
Okay, I got 4 people done, and Alicia's done, so that means most people should be done. So, if I go here, I should be negative 790 plus minus the square root of 790 squared minus 4 times negative 60 times negative 1000 divided by 2 times negative 60. Give me a Y or a no. Yes if you got the formula right, how you wrote it, or no, I didn't get the formula right. Good, good, good. Okay, Now, I want you to use your calculator to figure out this number in here for me. Okay? Well, don't tell me right away, Lawrence. I guess let me see here. 790 squared. Did anyone else get the same number as Lawrence had? The yes for the same number as Lawrence, or no, not the same number as Lawrence? Yes. Good. Lawrence is good. 340, 100. And then here's where we split it, right? We split our answer up into two sections. Now, you might find in some books they'll leave it as the square root version. I don't mind. I'll be looking at it for it as a decimal place. Okay? And generally, one decimal place should be good unless I ask for more. So this one's going to be plus 619.8. This one's going to be negative 790 minus 619.8 divided by negative 120 divided by negative 120. I want you to write one of those two numbers into the chat, whichever one you got. What's your two answers? So once you have one of your answers, type it in. Let's go two decimal places on your answers. Oh, something went wrong, Lawrence. We should get these as our answers. Yeah. 1175, or somewhere close to that, right? Might be a decimal place off or something like that due to rounding, how far you rounded this number. If you are a really good student, would go negative 790 plus the square root of this number equals divided by negative 120. So these should be the two numbers that you've got. Yeah. So give me a yes or a no if you're able to get those answers in as you're working through. Fiona, yes. Good, good. That is the square root of this number right here. Right?
get the notifications again.
Who? I never turn them off.
Oh.
I don't know how. Sometimes they appear on mine, then sometimes it goes away. I have no clue how to do that one. I'll look into it.
Okay.
Now here's the question I talked about earlier. Okay? So if we think about that original chart we made up top here, it looked like this. And we said the break-even point. So we're looking when this is equal to 0, correct? So let me write this equation down one more time. Where's my pen? Okay. We're thinking about a break-even point. We replaced this y with a 0, and then we made our calculations from there. But this time, we want our profit to be $1,000. If that's what we're aiming to raise, right, what should we set the price at? So realistically, let me erase that and do it in a different color so it makes sense. We're trying to make $1,000. So let's say $1,000 is right here. Therefore, I want to find, the way I think about it is I want to find my new zeros at $1,000. But the way I change my equation is I'm going to replace this here with 1,000. Because before we were looking for 0, so we set the 0. But now we're looking for 1,000. So we're going to replace that with 1,000. Now my question for you is, can we start the calculation right now, or do we have to do something before we start using the quadratic equation? Can we start it now, or do we have to do something first? Don't be afraid. I haven't heard from Trinity yet today.
I think we have to...
Yeah, good. We have to move it over, right? Because we have to find, we're making a new 0, right? In order to do the quadratic equation, we have to have so in this case, we're going to minus off. It's going to come over and become a minus. Oops. That should be 2,000 instead. I'll do like this first. 1,000 minus 1,000. And if I do that math, it will become minus 2,000. Okay? Now, here's the question for me, for you guys. Would you rather spend time with me doing this question here, or would you rather have the time to go start your homework? So what I will do right now is let me go over your homework. So your questions here to start. I'll run through your questions with you. In this case, it's asking, is your discriminant for this parabola going to be equal to 0, greater than 0, or less than 0? Okay? So if you remember back to our note, if it's equal to 0, it's going to have 1 touch. Less than 0, no touches. Sorry, less than 0, no touches. Greater than 0, it's going to have 2 touches. Okay? Then I gave you, let's take, this is only going to show up in z's. But only do a couple of these. You can do like 2 or 3 of these. Right? Then here's somewhere you can do the quadratic formula too. And I gave you a couple word questions to work through. Okay? So if you understand this, do one or two of these, then do these until you make sure you get the comfort with it. Now, in all honesty, if you do these questions here, and you get like 2 wrong, or if you get this one wrong, go practice another one. Okay? And then here is your word questions for you to work on. Okay? Make sure you know what you're doing. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. Okay. If anyone has any questions, I'm here for you. Oh, turn off my recording. Thank you, Trinity. I'm going to do the login check right now. I have to leave the call to go to work. Okay. Should be back 10:45. We'll start next lesson.